Speaking as a representative of the anti-identity politics movement, I currently am aware that we are dwelling in a pre-postmodernism realism society. As my mother was a woman who nurtured me through social construction to be correct in my analysis of all feminine behavior throughout history, in contemporary times, and into the future in perpetuity, I would like to add that I identify as correct. And if you disagree with me, you're insulting my subjective identity and lived experience. I've been correct my whole life, and I been listening to a lot of feminism over the last couple of days. Real feminists, not wrong feminists. You know the difference, right? Yeah. It's been some really interesting stuff, actually. I now understand women totally. So ask me anything, anytime. I'm not. I'm making light of my ignorance. I'm not making light of your plight. Okay, that's what quite a lot of the masculine humour section comes across as. Actually, I mean the guys with the good minds and the good hearts and the considerate philosophical gears in motion very often don't end up in positions of power, and they're the ones who are trying to tell you that, well, I would like my existence to at least have a positive effect on you, in the same way that your existence should have a positive effect on you as well. And I realised that through various encroaching material factors that are currently accumulating in the zeitgeist of the political argument, where language is being reinvented so quickly that we can't talk ourselves into a decent enough consensus anyway. We've come to the consensus to not come to a consensus, I would say. Actually, it reminds me of a joke. These theoretical physicists are fed up with not being able to come to a consensus, so they organise a round-table discussion and come to the conclusion that there is no table. We have got a material issue at stake, which is why the conservative conversation is necessary, as well as the liberal one. How do we spend our resources? How do we store our resources? How do we distribute our resources? And they are ours. I mean, I think that nothing human is alien is a good line that came out of Marcus Aurelius well over 1,000 years ago. And if you listen to the messages of all the monotheisms and various other spiritual practices out there, you'll understand that universality and tribalism are both the amplified versions of our internalized moral codes of freedom and fairness. I mean, we all want to be free and we want to live in a fair world, and if our freedom encroaches on other people's fairness, well, then we're stirring the pot a little bit, and that's what's going on in general anyway, because if you bring in too much fairness, you restrict people's freedom. So now we have these kind of amplified versions of this in politics, liberals and conservatism, or spiritually minded. You submit yourself to the will of God, or you question God, or you go against God, or you say that God doesn't even exist, which is your God-given right, by the way. Your mind can go in any direction at all, but it is yours. Own it. Own your mind, and have a look at the property in there like it's some kind of real estate, I guess. I didn't plan on doing a video. I just got that little joke at the beginning out in not as good a way as it had come out the first time. I just thought, oh, it was a good joke, I should get that down. I don't get my material down often enough, I don't produce enough, and I get very guilty and depressed and dysfunctional, and when you accuse me of being a patriarch, I'm living in the opposite experience of having any power. But maybe that is because I don't have the ability to empower myself, because I can't even sort out my sock drawer often enough. There's actually a good anecdote that I heard from a clinical psychologist who said that he had this client who could never clean his own room. So he said, okay, well, it's a material thing, like smoking cigarettes. You just stop putting them in your mouth and then you quit smoking. That's really the mechanism. You stop putting them in your mouth. That's how you quit smoking. Well, this guy, he had to clean his room. He had to vacuum clean his room twice before the next appointment. Next appointment comes up. Guy turns up. He says, okay, how did it go? He said, well, went home in the right mood. I did exactly what you said. I got the vacuum cleaner out. Well, not exactly what you said, because I got it out, left it in the doorway, and for the next 2 weeks I climbed over it on my way in and out of the bedroom, and I haven't vacuum cleaned my apartment once. I think we can all relate to that in some way, shape or form, and I think we're under a hell of a lot of pressure to do our best 100% of the time, which is aggressive towards our natural requirements to just relax sometimes, get a good night's sleep, eat fruit and nuts instead of sweets and chips. You know, we make the wrong decisions sometimes, and that's that's what sin is, according to the original definition of the word sin. Sin, I learned from Prince E. Sin means to miss the target in archery. It means that you're not aiming for the target, so you don't catch it anyway. You want to live in an environment that's sorted. Have a look around, see what needs sorting, and do it. Huh? Oh. So yeah, I'm doing this. I was listening to this feminist panel discussion. Julie Bindel, I think her name was. She's been deplatformed, but I said she was a real feminist at the beginning, and that was a joke. A joke based on the claim that somebody can be the real anything, because this conversation was about identity politics. And identity politics is the next logical step after multiculturalism. I actually really like multiculturalism. Thought, fantastic idea, of course. Let's all get along and live together completely fine. I don't know why I'm assumed to be somebody who thinks otherwise. That's it. I'll try not to take it personally. Okay, I'll try my best not to take it personally. But, you know, feeling threatened by the racism of others towards me, it feels personal sometimes. I do understand racism a little bit. Only a little bit, though. I understand its consequences more than its, like, permanent environment. Alright, how's that? Oh god, now I've got off on one because I'm just suddenly trying to say something because I was being considerate to black people. I'm in a field, I'm in a garden in Sweden being considerate to black people who aren't even here. This is what we do in our solitude sometimes, did you know? The definition of a bore. Somebody who interrupts your solitude without bringing companionship. Who is that? I can't remember what his name was now. Joseph Campbell. Yeah. I was saying something, about the joke about the real feminism as opposed to, what? Not real feminism? Well, they're not real feminists. What kind of claim is that? You know, it's a bit like saying, don't be an asshole. That's subjective. It's meaningless when you say that. You know what you mean when you say that. Nobody else knows what you mean when they say that. When you say that. And oh god, I'm now getting self-conscious because I know that there was another subject I was trying to think about, and I guess I'm panicking a little bit because in the world of microaggressions I get micro-anxieties, and they play on my mind and they disturb my train of thought. derail my train of thought, I could say. That's what happens. I have video evidence of this now.